Let me tell you about the richest house on the hill. Glass and marble. Fountains and guards. From far away, it looked perfect. But one room inside it was always silent. That was Michael's room. Robert King's mansion was a legend in the town below. People pointed at it with a mix of envy and fear. Billionaire. Genius. Untouchable, they whispered. They also whispered about his only son, born autistic and completely paralyzed. At least, that's what they believed. Maids came and went. Nannies lasted days, sometimes hours. They signed thick contracts and left with shaking hands. Whenever someone asked what happened, they only said one thing. I'm never going back there. One cold morning, when fog covered the hill, a small bus stopped at the gate. A young woman stepped down, holding a faded backpack. Her shoes were cheap, her coat too thin, but her eyes were sharp. Her name was Sophia. She was poor. She was nervous. But she needed this job like she needed air. New maid. The guard scoffed. You won't last a week in there. Sophia swallowed. Then I'll try to last 6 days, she muttered. Inside, the mansion smelled like polished wood and expensive perfume. Chandeliers glowed above her. Rich guests drifted through the halls, laughing softly. Their eyes slid over Sophia's worn clothes like she was a stain on the floor. Robert is desperate, one woman whispered. Hiring anyone now, it seems. Sophia pretended not to hear. Poor people learn how to make themselves small. But as she followed the head housekeeper, Evelyn, up the staircase, something stubborn in her refused to shrink. Rule number 1, Evelyn said, heels clicking. You don't speak unless spoken to. Rule number 2. You never question Mr. King. Rule number 3. She stopped at the end of a long corridor, in front of a heavy door. You never open this door. The boy inside cannot move. He does not feel. He does not understand. You are here to clean, not to feel sorry for him. Clear. Sophia's gaze rested on the door. The handle was dull and scratched, like many hands had grabbed it and let go. Yes, she whispered. That night, the mansion went quiet. The fountains outside whispered. Sophia lay awake in her narrow bed, staring at the ceiling. She couldn't stop thinking about that door. About the boy everyone avoided. About a child the rich insisted did not feel anything at all. Have you ever felt a silence that was too heavy? Like it was hiding a scream? Sophia got up. Her bare feet touched the cold floor as she walked down the corridor, the weak light of her phone shaking in her hand. The house felt different in the dark. Less like a palace. More like something holding its breath. She stopped in front of Michael's door. For a moment, there was nothing. Only the hum of the machines behind the wall. And then she heard it. The faintest sound. Not a word. Not a cry. Just a broken, struggling breath, like someone trying very, very hard to move. Sophia froze, her heart pounding in her ears. If the billionaire's son was truly paralyzed, then whose effort had just answered her silence? The next morning, Sophia's day started before the sun. Evelyn shoved a cleaning cart toward her, the metal wheels screeching on the marble. You do the guest rooms, the hallways, and the downstairs bathrooms, Evelyn snapped. And remember, you stay away from the 3rd floor. Especially that door. Sophia nodded, but her eyes drifted up toward the staircase. Has anyone ever talked to him? She asked quietly. To Michael. Evelyn's lips curled. Talk to him. He is a body in a bed. Nothing more. Do your job, girl. In that moment, Sophia felt the line between them like a wall. Evelyn's neat uniform and golden watch screamed power. Sophia had a single spare shirt folded in her bag. All day, Sophia scrubbed floors that already shone. She passed rooms with giant windows and silk curtains. She heard the rich laugh about investments and vacations. Can you believe he flew economy once? A man complained. Never again. Sophia kept her head down. But every time she passed the staircase, something inside her twisted. By late afternoon, the house grew quiet. Guests left. The staff disappeared into their routines. Evelyn barked one last order and vanished toward the kitchen. For the first time, the corridor toward Michael's room was empty. Sophia's heart hammered as she climbed the stairs. By the time she reached the third floor, her palms were slick with sweat. She told herself she was just checking, just looking, just making sure the boy was at least breathing. The door creaked when she pushed it open. The room smelled like antiseptic and stale air. Machines hummed softly. Heavy curtains blocked most of the light. In the middle of it, on a massive bed surrounded by wires and tubes, lay Michael. He looked younger than she expected. Maybe 10, maybe 12. Dark hair, long lashes against pale skin. His arms lay limp at his sides. For a moment, Sophia just stood there, listening. Beep, beep, beep. The monitors kept their rhythm like a cold, mechanical heartbeat. She stepped closer. "Hi," she whispered. "I'm Sophia. I'm new here." No reaction. Sophia's eyes moved to a small table beside the bed. Rows of pill bottles stood there, labels turned away. An electronic schedule blinked on a screen. Every few hours. Strong doses. Long lists of side effects. Her stomach tightened. "Why so much?" she murmured. "Why does a child who cannot move need this many drugs?" As she turned back, she caught it. The slightest flicker. Not in his hands. Not in his legs. In his eyes. Very slowly, Michael's gaze shifted. He did not turn his head. He did not lift a finger. But his eyes moved toward her like someone swimming through thick water. Sophia stepped closer, afraid to breathe. "Michael," she whispered. "If you can hear me, if you understand me, try to do something small. Blink. Anything. I'll be watching." She waited. 1 second. 2. 3. Nothing. Her shoulders sagged. Maybe she had imagined it. Maybe the rich were right. Sophia turned to leave. And that was when, with a tiny strain that made his lips tremble, Michael blinked. Sophia didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Michael's. That tiny, desperate blink replayed in her mind like a quiet scream. By morning, she had made a decision. In the kitchen, while staff rushed around with silver trays, Sophia washed dishes in silence. Evelyn moved like a general, barking orders. "Evelyn." Sophia tried carefully. "Yesterday, I went upstairs. I heard the machines. I just wanted to see if the boy needed anything." Evelyn whirled around. "You did what?" "I only looked from the door. I thought I saw." "You thought?" Evelyn's voice cut like glass. "You are not paid to think. You are paid to obey. That boy is Mr. King's burden, not yours. Stay away from him, or you'll leave like the others. With nothing." Sophia swallowed her words. Rich rules were clear. Speak, and you lose everything. But as the hours passed, her guilt grew heavier than her fear. Late that afternoon, she volunteered to take fresh sheets to the third floor. Evelyn frowned, but there were guests downstairs. "Fine," she snapped. "Straight there and back. No touching anything that beeps." Sophia climbed the stairs with the sheets pressed to her chest. When she slipped into Michael's room, the air felt heavy and stale. The curtains were half open. A thin line of sunlight crossed the bed and touched his face. His eyes were open. "Hey," she whispered, closing the door. "It's me again. Sophia." His gaze shifted, slow but clear. Her heart flipped. She moved to the side table and picked up one of the bottles. The label was crowded with small letters. Strong sedative. Side effects: drowsiness, loss of muscle control, trouble speaking. Her mother's voice flashed in her memory. Her mother had cleaned a small clinic. Nurses used to talk over her. "Too much of this can keep a person in bed." Too much, and they're like stone. Sophia looked from the bottle to the boy in the bed. How long have you been taking this? She whispered. The electronic schedule blinked. Another dose due. Another wave to crush whatever strength he had left. Her fingers trembled. This is wrong, she breathed. If I'm wrong, I lose my job. If I'm right. She poured half. Just half. Michael, she said softly, bringing the cup to his lips, helping the liquid slide into his mouth. If it helps you, you have to show me. Okay. He blinked once. Hours crawled by. Sophia pretended to clean downstairs, jumping at every sound. At any moment, she expected alarms to scream from the third floor. They never did. When the house finally settled into its night silence, Sophia slipped back into Michael's room. What she saw made her throat close. Michael's fingers were not curled as tightly as before. One hand rested closer to the edge of the bed. His breathing seemed lighter. His eyes found her faster, sharper, like the fog around him had thinned. Sophia leaned over him. It's you, she whispered. You're in there. Aren't you? Very slowly, painfully, as if lifting a mountain, Michael moved one finger. Just one. But that small, shaking movement told her something terrifying. He was not just sick. Someone, somewhere, was keeping him this way. The next day, Sophia poured half the dose again. Good morning, she whispered, lifting Michael's pillow a little. If this is helping, keep fighting, okay? His eyes found her quickly now. She tried something new. Blink once for yes, twice for no. Can you understand me? He blinked. Once. A shiver ran through her. Did anyone ever ask you that before? 2 slow blinks. No. As she wiped his hands, her gaze fell on the bottles. The same name on each label. Dr. John Hale. Private neurologist. The best money could buy. That afternoon, as she measured another half dose, the door flew open. What do you think you're doing? Evelyn snapped. I'm giving him his medicine, Sophia said. Evelyn snatched the bottle, eyes narrowing at the lowered level. You've been changing this, she hissed. Without permission. He's moving more, Sophia blurted. He blinks. He follows me. The doses are too strong. You are experimenting on Mr. King's son? Evelyn's shout shook the room. You. Do you have a license hidden in that cheap pocket? She grabbed Sophia's wrist and dragged her out. Mr. King, she called. Sir, you need to see what your maid has done. Robert King waited in his office, surrounded by glowing screens. His suit was flawless. His eyes were tired. What is this? He asked. Evelyn pushed Sophia forward. She has been changing Michael's medication. Playing doctor. Robert's gaze settled on Sophia. Is that true? Yes, she said, voice shaking but steady. Your son responds when the dose is lower. He understands. Please, come and see. For a second, pain flickered across his face. Then it vanished. You think you know more than Dr. Hale? He asked. Do you know how much I've spent? I know you spent money, she said quietly. I'm asking if you spent time. Really looking at him. Evelyn gasped. Sir, she's dangerous. You should have her removed. Robert pointed toward the door. You're finished. Pack your things and leave my house before I call the police. The words crushed the air from her lungs. But she thought of Michael's small, shaking finger. If you send me away, she whispered, you send away the only person who has seen him try. Before he could reply, an alarm screamed through the hallway. Beep, beep. They ran to Michael's room. Machines flashed red numbers. His hands trembled on the sheets. His head tilted a fraction toward the door. His lips moved. S-O-P-H. Sophia. Robert stared. He spoke. It's not damage, another voice said from the doorway. A woman in a white coat stepped in. Dr. Emma, the emergency physician the staff had called when the alarm went off. She studied the screens, then the bottles. "This isn't a new injury," she said slowly. "This is what happens when heavy sedatives begin to clear." Her eyes met Robert's. "Mr. King," Dr. Emma said, firm now. "Your son was never truly born unable to move. Someone has been keeping him that way." The alarms stopped. Michael lay still, but his breathing was calm. "He was never born unable to move," Dr. Emma said quietly. She held up the brown bottle. "Sedatives at this dose weaken muscles. Keep it up for years, and a child can look paralyzed." Robert stared. "But Dr. Hale said." "He wrote hopeless and kept raising the dose," Emma cut in. "Your maid lowered it. That's why your son could finally fight through the fog." She turned to Sophia. "You gave him half?" Sophia nodded. "I was scared. But he blinked. He followed me. He tried." Later, in a small office, Emma spread Michael's old scans on a desk. "Here," she pointed. "Early inflammation near the spine. Serious, but treatable. With therapy, he could have had much more control. Instead, someone chose to sedate and give up." "Because he's autistic?" Sophia asked. "Because people prefer quiet to effort," Emma replied. "And quiet pays well." Robert's hands shook over the papers. "I thought money meant safety," he whispered. "I trusted everyone but him." "So trust him now," Sophia said. "Not the files. Not the doctor. Your son." "What do we do?" he asked. "We taper the drugs, start therapy, and accept that he will always be autistic," Emma said. "The goal isn't to make him normal. It's to give him back whatever his body can still do, and a life where he's heard." The months that followed were messy. Michael cried without words when his body hurt. His legs shook in therapy. Slowly, Michael's body answered. First, a firm squeeze of a therapist's hand. Then toes pushing against a mat. Then one afternoon, a shaky tap on a tablet that made a robotic voice say, "Water," and Sophia laugh and cry at the same time. One bright day, the garden behind the mansion had ramps and soft paths instead of only statues. Michael sat under a tree in a wheelchair, legs supported, tablet on his lap. Sophia sat beside him. Robert stood in front, no suit, just a father with rolled-up sleeves. "Ready?" Sophia asked. Michael's fingers hovered, then tapped two big icons. The device spoke. "Dad. Stay." The man who once threw money at problems dropped to his knees. "I'm here," he said, voice shaking. "This time I'm really here. I'm sorry I believed your silence, not you." Michael reached out. His hand shook badly, but he closed his fingers around his father's sleeve. It wasn't a miracle. It was a decision. Nearby, Emma showed another family the new therapy rooms Robert had built on the property. No locked doors. No hopeless stamped on charts. The richest house on the hill still lit up the night. But its brightest light now sat under a tree, tapping out his own words, surrounded by people who finally listened. How many people around us have been labeled too difficult or beyond help, when really no one ever took the time to hear them? If you'd walked into that room the day Michael blinked, whose version would you have believed? The rich doctor, the powerful father, or the quiet maid? Tell me in the comments whose side you'd be on, and if this story reminded you of someone the world misjudged too fast.